Chop it up a little bit, get it broken up. We are going to need this to be, you know, somewhat soft and broken down. We don't need it too chunky. What's up, Lazy Dog fam? Hope all y'all are having an awesome day. It is Friday, February 2nd here in South Georgia, and on today's video we're going to continue along with the garden prep theme that we dove into on the last video, but today we're going to be focusing on a few of these raised beds that we need to get ready to plant potatoes in a couple weeks. I'm going to show you how we kind of flip the material in those beds and amend those beds to get them ready to plant. But before we do that, we've had a lot of people who I guess are growing winter cover crops for the first time, and they've been asking how soon do they need to incorporate those cover crops before they're ready to plant. So I thought I'd address that real quick. Now, if you've got a winter cover crop planted, hopefully it looks better than this one right here. This one we planted kind of late and the cold weather slowed it down a good bit. Finally starting to fill in some there. Hopefully soon we can have complete soil coverage. Now, as soon as I get that soil coverage, I'm going to put the chicken tractor on here for a month or so, planning on putting watermelons in this plot, say late April. So I'm not in a huge hurry here, but let's assume I was. Of course, you can use a chicken tractor and a tarp to terminate a cover crop. We've showed that in the past. That's the slow way to do it. But if you're going to use a tiller and you want to get it ready relatively fast, you're probably going to do it at least 2 weeks before you want to plant. Yes, the tiller will do a good job of incorporating all this stuff, but it's going to take a little time for it all to break down. If you can plan ahead 3 to 4 weeks before you're going to plant and incorporate it then, that would probably be even better. But anyways, back to the task at hand. I need to get at least 2 of these raised beds ready to plant potatoes in a couple weeks around the middle of February. I had originally told y'all I was going to put potatoes in that bed and this bed where we have the mustard. I've since changed my mind. I think I'm going to put them here and in that other long skinny bed right over there. And so for this bed, instead of potatoes, I think we'll just get it cleaned up, get it amended over the next few weeks, let it hang out for a bit, and I think I can squeeze 2 rows of peppers in that bed come spring. But for these prospective tater beds, we've got a little bit of work to do because we've got stuff growing in both of these beds. Let's start out with this one right here where we've got our Savannah mustard growing now. We've already harvested this 3 times. Looks like I can get 1 more small harvest off this. So let's go ahead and do that before we start flipping things. Now, I'm not going to do a clean cut on these because some of these leaves, like that one right there, look a little less than appetizing. So I'm just going to pluck off the good leaves, the ones we want to eat. Put them in my bowl here. It'd be just fine to leave some of those rougher looking leaves there. We can flip those into the soil in a minute. Alright, so I got all I wanted to get there. Enough for a little small mess of mustard greens. Not going to feed an army with that, but it'd be a nice little tasty treat. The rest of these leaves we left out here we'll use for biofumigation purposes as we turn those into the soil, just like we've done in the past in our in-ground garden. Before I start digging around here, I need to get my drip tape out, so I'm gonna do that real quick. I don't think I'm gonna use drip tape on these taters, so I might just go ahead and disconnect the majority of what we have set up here. Just want to make sure I find all those staples. So now that we've got our drip tape removed, we just want to start chopping and flipping this stuff. I'm just going to dig down with my shovel, just kind of turn this stuff over here. Pull out a few of those weeds as we go. Chop it up a little bit, get it broken up. We are going to need this to be, you know, somewhat soft and broken down. We don't need it too chunky when we come in here to plant taters. So I'm going to get it mixed up pretty well here. Had to take a break from chopping and flipping for a minute. My little angel had to come out here and see me. Essie, you want to say hey to everybody? Yeah. Dog, yeah. You see a dog? All right, say bye-bye. Get my glasses. All right, so just after a few minutes of chopping and flipping, this is where we're at. Still looks a little crude, but we're about to fix that. So I've got 3 different things that we're going to add to this bed. We've got a little coop grow fertilizer there. We've got some mushroom compost. And then I've got some worm castings plus worms from our worm farm over there by the barn. So I think I'll start off with the coop grow here. Not going to put a ton of it down. just kind of a light sprinkle. As we get some rain over the next couple weeks, let this stuff start breaking down, let this organic fertilizer start breaking down. That way it can be available to our next round of plants. Then I'm going to put down my worm castings. They're a little wet, a little chunky. That'll be all right. Got a decent amount of worms in there too, which is okay, because we got plenty of worms. Hopefully the worms will help kind of break down some of this stuff over the next couple weeks. Got some nice castings here after having that worm farm for a year and a half. And then lastly, one of our favorites, the old black velvet mushroom compost. This is one of the best things you can do for raised beds or containers, in my opinion. A $5 bag of this will do wonders for your soil. I really like it for raised beds because it helps them retain moisture. Raised beds dry out faster. They don't hold water as well as the in-ground garden, but the mushroom compost definitely helps and helps get some good biology going. So, oh, these bags are heavy. We might end up using this whole bag here. We'll just see how much it takes to cover up all that vegetation. All right. I'm liking the way that's looking right there. So now you can't even tell we had anything planted here. This mushroom compost and other stuff will get more incorporated into the soil when we dig a trench or a furrow to plant those potatoes. But right now the mushroom compost is just kind of keeping that mustard from growing back. And now that that one is done, we need to focus on this one over here where we have stuff growing. We've got these potato onions. I think I'm going to move these because those ones over there in that in-ground plot are doing so well. I think I'm going to pull these up and maybe tomorrow or the next day plant them right over there in that plot beside our Louisiana shallots. We've got some spinach here too. Never germinated well. It's finally putting on a few edible leaves. I don't know that there's enough there to really even make a whole salad, so I'll probably just biofumigate that like we did the mustard. So first, let's pull up these potato onions, which have started looking really good the last few weeks. Get those weeds up as well as we go. We could leave these here. They would do just fine in this raised bed, but I'd like to have both of my potato beds kind of right close to each other. Make things a little bit easier. So we'll get the onions out, we'll relocate those, and they'll be just fine out of the soil for a couple days till we get some time to move them to an in-ground plot. All right, our onions are up. Got those in the bucket here. I think I got most of those weeds out of there. Got the drip tape up. Now we just need to turn this over a little bit. We don't have near as much vegetation as we had in that mustard bed. Not many spinach plants here, but I do want to cover those up. So we're just gonna turn and flip it a little bit. And now that that's been flipped and smoothed out, we can do the same process we did on the other bed. I don't know if y'all can see on camera or not, but there are a million tiny little roots in here from those onions. It's got to be good for the dirt. Anyway, gonna do like we did before, little sprinkle of coop grow. Put the rest of our worms out here. They won't have as much to eat in this bed, but hopefully they'll hunker down in that soil and stay there. And then we'll finish it with some of our good old Alana Miles approved mushroom compost. And that's all there is to it, folks. It only takes about 5 minutes per bed if you got everything you need. Simple, easy, and cheap. A couple handfuls of your favorite organic fertilizer, a couple $5 bags of mushroom compost, and you're good to go. Now obviously there are many different ways to skin that cat. You could talk to 10 different people and they might do it 10 different ways just based on what they have available to them. Some people don't have a worm farm. Some people might have some really good compost that they made that they would use instead of buying a bag of mushroom compost. Some people might have a chicken coop and want to go scrape up some chicken doo-doo and mix that in there. Lots of different ways to do it, but the concept is still the same. Go ahead and get some fertility down there, get some compost in place, get that organic matter in the soil so you can start feeding that biology, have some nice healthy soil when you're ready to plant. And although we're putting potatoes in these two beds we just prepared, the process would be exactly the same no matter what we were planting. If it was peppers, tomatoes, squash, cucumbers, we would do it exactly the same. And speaking of taters, you might remember a few videos ago I was showing you how most of the varieties that we're going to plant had sprouted in my office closet, and I moved them to those little clear tubs underneath the barn. We were waiting on this one variety here, Huckleberry Gold, which can be a little slower. But after one more week in the closet, we're good to go now. You can see we got some nice sprouts forming on those. Pretty much all of them in the bag have sprouts like that. So just takes these a little longer. If you're going to grow this variety, you should know that. But keep them in a dark, warm place like a closet, and they will eventually form sprouts, which are good to have before you put these in the ground. So I hope you enjoyed the video today, and if you've got your own recipe for flipping and amending raised beds or containers, please do share that in the comments below. That way everyone else can read it and adjust their recipe based on what they have available to them. And as always, you can find that Coop Grow fertilizer, these raised beds, and a lot of other good stuff on our website at lazydogfarm.com. If you missed that video where we talked about how to get potatoes to sprout and what to do with them once they sprout, you can see that right here. So check that out, and we'll see you next time right here at Lazy Dog Farm.